Hey mamas, you're listening to the Balanced Working Mama podcast, the only podcast teaching you how to balance your work, motherhood, and wellness. I am Dr. Amber Thornton, clinical psychologist and mama wellness consultant. Each week we dive into tips and strategies and much more so that you too can become a balanced working mama. Let's dive in. Hey mamas, welcome to the Balanced Working Mama podcast. We are so excited to be back for season 5. And so before we get into today's episode, I really just want to check in real quick because I know that many of you all follow me on Instagram. You're subscribed to the email newsletter. You know that there's been tons of things happening in my life and going on with me. So let's check in a little bit. I am doing okay. I, at this point, am about 11 weeks postpartum. Baby girl Eden is almost 3 months old. Oh my gosh. Well, she'll be 3 months in a few weeks. And so the time has really flown by. And I'll also say that the time has been challenging. There has been so many things that have happened just with regard to my recovery from pregnancy and birth. But then also, I think many of you all know that my father passed away on May 28th. And so it has definitely been an interesting postpartum experience full of ups, full of downs. And I think it really is just a great metaphor for life. I think within a very short period of time, I experienced so many ups and downs, but it reminds me that life is a cycle, right? It cycles. There are ups, there are downs. Oh, that's Eden. She's good, y'all. She's a little cough. Life cycles. There's ups, there's downs, there's good times, there's bad times, there's joys, there's sadness. And yet here we are. And so I've really been very intentional in the last few months about my healing, about my recovery, about managing grief, about my health, about my well-being, about asking for help, about expressing how I feel to my loved ones, about all the things that to make sure that I am okay. And so for anyone who has worried about me, anyone who has been praying or sending positive energy, thank you. I really do appreciate it. I appreciate you all so much because so many of you really just poured so much into me in terms of, wanting me to feel better, wanting me to know that you all are there for me. So many of you kept reminding me that, hey, we've got your back, just like you have had our back for so long. And it means so much. So I definitely want to start this season off by thanking you all for that. Thank you for this Balanced Working Mama community and helping to remind me that, yes, I pour into the community, but I can also tap into it when I need to. And I absolutely did. And it was so helpful, y'all. So I am soon transitioning back to work in person. That's going to be interesting. But I think I can do it. And I know that it'll be an adjustment, but we're going to figure it out. And so I will definitely keep y'all posted. I'll go back to work in a few weeks. Eden is going to go to daycare. C3's already been in school, so that won't be a change, but there's definitely a lot of moving pieces and parts happening. But I want to keep y'all posted. And so if you're interested and curious to see more of the details of what's going on for us and me over here, I highly encourage you to follow me on Instagram because that's where I'm at, telling all my business at Dr. Amber Thornton on Instagram. But also while you're there, follow us at Balanced Working Mama as well. For those of you who do follow, you might have noticed that our community is growing, y'all. 2K followers. Okay, hello. Hey, everybody. So I'm just so proud of us and what we've got going. And I'm excited for this season of the podcast. So all right, y'all, I'm going to get into it. I'm going to stop talking so we can get into today's episode, and I hope that you enjoy it. Hey mama, I want to quickly tell you about the Empower Wellness Program. This is a dynamic 6-week group for working mothers who are tired of feeling overwhelmed, fatigued, burdened by mom guilt, but then also just not having enough time for themselves. This program takes all of that and transforms it into more wellness, more time for yourself, better priorities, community with other mothers, but then overall balance in your work, motherhood, and wellness. To learn more about the Empower Wellness Program, head over to balanceworkingmama.com. There you can find when the next program begins, what to expect, but then also how to sign up. Hope to see you in the next group. Hey mamas, we are here for another episode of the Balanced Working Mama podcast. Hey, how is it going? How are you doing? Are you feeling balanced? Are you prioritizing your wellness? Have you been drinking your water? Are you keeping your boundaries bold and firm? Are you doing all the things that will enable you to have balance in motherhood? I hope the answer is yes. And if not, this is exactly where you need to be. So I hope that you are excited and ready for a new season of the podcast. So, before we jump in, I feel like I want to reintroduce myself. And so when I was thinking about this episode, of course, what kept going through my head was allow me to reintroduce myself. Because, so I want to do that real quick because I know that we have a few mamas that are listening for the very first time, or a few mamas who maybe have stumbled upon the podcast in the middle of last season. And so I want to say hello to you and explain to you a little bit about who I am, why this podcast even exists, and what Balanced Working Mama is. And so for those of you who do not know me or who has not been formally introduced to me, my name is Dr. Amber Thornton. I am a clinical psychologist and also a motherhood wellness consultant. And so what that means is that I work with moms to help them better prioritize wellness, but also to learn what balance in motherhood looks like at this point in our lifetime or in our society. I specifically focus on millennial mamas. I tend to have a very diverse, inclusive, multicultural group of mamas that we work with in Balanced Working Mama. So it is not hard to see yourself in the groups and the spaces that we have in our community. But I really am truly so passionate about balance in motherhood because I do believe it's possible. But I have grown up to see when many mothers and women struggle with balance in motherhood, but also now at this phase and point of my life, I've learned that a lot of moms don't believe that balance in motherhood is possible. And so that's why we're here. Balanced Working Mama was essentially created, one, because I needed to believe and to truly live a life that included balance in motherhood. I needed this for myself. And then when I felt like I had got the grasp and the hang of it, I set out to do it for other women and other mothers. And that's why we're here. And that's why this podcast exists. And so let's talk about balance really quickly, because I think the thing I want to communicate today is that balance in motherhood is easier than you're thinking. But it requires us to redefine what balance in motherhood means at this point. So story time. I told you all I'm a psychologist. I'm a motherhood wellness consultant. The other part of this is that I'm a mom. I've got two little children. And we know when your kids are little, they require a lot. Honestly, even your big kids require a lot, okay? But my little kids require a lot from me right now. I have a 2-year-old. His name is Cedric. We call him C3. And I have at the time that I am recording this, my baby girl is 10 weeks old. So I have a 2-month-old. She will be 3 months very soon. And her name is Eden. Motherhood. Let's just all have a moment. Motherhood is not easy, y'all. And we know this. I know this. And so the one thing I also really want the new mamas and new listeners to know is that this is not me trying to put a rose-colored spin on motherhood. There is no such a thing, because motherhood is not easy. Motherhood is challenging. Motherhood is hard, okay? And so the point, though, is that I want us to find ways to live a life where motherhood doesn't take all of us. I don't want motherhood to be the end of our life. I don't want motherhood to be the end of our joy. I don't want motherhood to be the end of our wellness. I don't want motherhood to be the end of any of that. I truly believe that we can experience motherhood and all the joys and all the challenges and still take care of ourselves, still prioritize our needs, our desires, still start those businesses that we've been putting off for forever, still start that passion project, still go work out every day or 3 times a week, or however you want to do it. We can still be the center of our lives and have these beautiful babies and beautiful children and love them and raise them and take good care of them. We can do that and take good care of ourselves. That is what I truly needed to believe when I became a mother. So when I became a mom, actually, let's backtrack. There was a time I did not want to be a mom because I was really scared that motherhood would really deplete me, would really take away all the things that I had come to enjoy in my life prior to becoming a mom. Because those are the things that people tell you, right? How many of you all have heard someone say, "Ooh, once you have that baby, it's not about you anymore, so get ready." Or say something like, "Enjoy this time now because when your baby gets here, you won't have it for a very long time." Or something like, "Yeah, I just came to see the baby because it's about her or him. It's not about you anymore." We get those messages from society, and we also get those messages from people that we love and that love us, that we no longer matter once we have children. And, you know, the unfortunate part is that when people say these things to us, they're not trying to hurt our feelings. They're not trying to scare us. They're not trying to make us feel bad. But implicitly, that's what happens. We get these messages encoded into our brain, into our systems, into the ways that we live our lives, into the way that we are perceiving this experience. And we are then starting to believe, I matter less. I matter less. My children matter more. My partner matters more. This job matters more. These people matter more. I matter less than everyone else. That is what happens with a lot of women and a lot of mothers as they become moms. We believe that we don't matter as much, but then also that everything else around us is more important. I just wanted to take a moment of silence for that because I think it's so unfortunate. It's so sad that we have these experiences that tell us implicitly, but also sometimes explicitly, that we don't matter anymore because we are now mothers. That's not okay. That is not the truth. And that is not what I believe. And so, again, I was afraid of becoming a mom because that's what I thought would happen. That's what I had been told. That's also what I had seen. Growing up, I never really saw a woman who was a mother take time for herself. I never really saw a mom do something nice for herself. I never really saw a lot of women in my life who were mothers set boundaries that were bold and clear and firm. I never really saw anyone explicitly put themselves first, right? And so now I feel like we're in a place, especially as millennial mamas, to do something really radical where we can really redefine what motherhood looks like. And motherhood now can include all of those things. And that is exactly how I am choosing to embrace my experience of motherhood. And that's what I'm hoping to help other mamas do as well. So let's talk about balance. There is this belief that there's no such thing as balance in motherhood. And it is because we have been conditioned to believe that we don't matter as much. And so when you don't think you matter, you tend to do things and operate in that way, right? So this is me, the psychologist, talking to you now. I'm trying to talk about social conditioning and all this stuff. When you don't think you matter, sometimes you don't ask for help. Sometimes you overcompensate to feel like you matter. Sometimes you don't speak up. Sometimes you don't believe that you're valuable. And so all of these things happen, and it leads us to have a lot of really big expectations for ourselves when it comes to being a mom. But also, what happens is that, society and people around us are telling us we don't matter as much. But then they pile on all these expectations for us, right? And so remember when I said, if you don't think that you matter, you don't ask for help or you don't speak up. You're not as assertive. You're afraid to set boundaries. When people pile on all these expectations and expect us to do all the things because we are women and mothers, but then when we're also giving the message that we don't matter as much, it's really hard to balance life because we're not doing the things to properly balance life, right? So people have been taught to believe that balance in motherhood looks like juggling all the things. And when I say this, I always envision this woman holding like all these boxes that have labels on it, like all my kids shit, all my spouses and partners shit, all my family shit. And side note, if this is your first time listening to this, sometimes I say bad words. But that's just me. That's just who I am. And I hope that you will continue to listen and appreciate the content of this podcast. But we believe that balance in motherhood means juggling all the things all the time, never dropping a box, never dropping a ball, doing it all on your own and never asking for help. But within our community of balanced working mama, what we now know is that we have to redefine what balance looks like in order to actually have balance in motherhood. And so for my old school mamas who have been listening and following along for a long time, you know that we have redefined balance with this little, I call it an acronym, but I don't know if it's really an acronym, you all. I've been thinking about this recently. Like I've been saying an acronym, but really I don't know the word for it. But basically what we have done, we have taken the word balanced. And with each letter in that word, there is something that you need to do in order to have balance in motherhood. Okay. And so the whole first season of this podcast is all about all of those things. But in this moment right now, I want to go through them quickly so that you know that it is possible to have balance in motherhood. It's easier than you think. It's just that you have to look at it differently. Again, it's no longer taking all of the things, doing it all on your own, never dropping anything. That's not it. That's not it. We are redefining balance so that you can realize, hey, this is actually what balance in motherhood is. And it's easier than what I thought. And it feels better too. So I want to start from the top. If you are someone who takes notes, get out your pencil, your notepad, get out your notes app, whatever it is, and really write these things down because I want you all to understand why it is easy to have balance in motherhood, how we redefine balance in motherhood, but also, nope, sorry, y'all, I just got a phone call. That I had to cancel. I have no idea who's calling me. But also I really want you all to see that, and this is the other part of this, in order to have balance in motherhood, you really do have to do the work. Okay. No one else is going to do this for you. You have to put in the work to ensure that you have balance in motherhood. But this is also why Balanced Working Mama as a community exists, because we can support one another. We can encourage one another. We can keep each other accountable. We have other mamas that we can kind of look to when we feel like we've lost our way. This is why community is important, because you got to do the work in order to have the balance. But doing the work sometimes is hard. But I want you to know you don't have to do it alone. All right, y'all. So here we go. Balanced. B. In order to have balance in motherhood, you have to have bold and firm boundaries. That is what the B stands for. Bold and firm boundaries in all areas of your life, with your children, with your partner, with your family, with your in-laws, with your job, with your grocery store, whatever it is. If your boundaries are not bold and firm, you don't have balance. You won't have balance because people will always run over you. People will always try to get you to do things you don't want to do. But you'll also say yes to all these things that you don't want to do. You got to have bold and firm boundaries. A. A stands for always prioritizing your wellness. Side note, as I'm saying all of this, I'm doing it from memory, and I've just remembered that I've just had a baby. I still have baby brain for the last 2 years. And so pray for me that I get all these right. But if I stumble, that's why, okay? I'm doing this from memory, and that is not a good idea. Okay, back to it. A is always prioritize your wellness. My question for you is, are you prioritizing your wellness? And for a lot of mamas, the answer is no. And again, it's because we have been conditioned to believe that we don't matter as much. And when you don't think you matter, you're not going to prioritize things like your wellness. And so you need to get to a point where you're prioritizing the needs of your wellness, the needs of your health, in order to truly have balance in motherhood. One thing I love about what we've got going on at Balanced Working Mama is that we have a motherhood wellness assessment. And so if you don't even know what you need in your wellness, we got an assessment for that, girl. So go to the website, balancedworkingmama.com, select Motherhood Wellness Assessment, and you can read all about it and take it there. All right, next one is L. L is for live fully in all of your identities. And so for me, what that means is that when we become mothers, that's not it. It's just not it. Like, we become moms, yes, but we're still all the other things that we were before we were mothers, right? And so we have to continue to live fully in all the identities that please us, that bring us joy, that affirm us. So for me, I am a mother. I do have an identity as a mom, but I also am a wife. I'm a psychologist. I'm a sister. I'm a daughter. I'm all these other things that are really important to me. And I have to continue to live fully in all of that. Okay. A. The second A in balanced is for assertiveness in communicating your needs and asking for help. And so this is important because we cannot do all the things all by ourselves. There's no way. There's absolutely no way. But we have been conditioned to believe that being a good mom means that you can do all the things all by yourself and that you don't need help. Many of us feel guilty or feel ashamed when we need to ask for help. And that is something that I hope that we can discontinue. We absolutely need to ask for help. We need help. We can't do all the things. And so, A, assertiveness in seeking help and asking for help, communicating your needs. All right, let's see. BALAN. N. The N is for never be afraid of change. This one is especially for me, and it is because I am someone who often resist change. I don't enjoy new things. I don't enjoy when things change or when they shift, especially when it's abrupt or sudden. It gives me anxiety. It makes me worry. And I tend to love to just do the same thing over and over again or do what's familiar, do what's comfortable. But what I've learned as a mom is that things are constantly changing in motherhood. And it's because our kids are always changing. Our experience of motherhood is always changing, but also we are changing too. I'm not the same person that I was 3 years ago before I had children. And so we have to be in a place where we're okay with embracing the changes that are happening around us, being open to it, not resisting it, because the more we resist these changes that happen in ourselves, in our partners, in our family, in our children, we will have a negative experience in this motherhood journey and balance won't happen. So you absolutely need to really try to never be afraid of change. Okay. C is for community and motherhood. If you don't have a community, get one. Get one today. Get one right now. And I invite you to join the Balanced Working Mama community because this is why we're here. We know that community and motherhood is so important. It's so important to have other women and other mothers who can see you, See your struggles, see your challenges, see that you're trying, see all the things and not judge you for it, not make you feel ashamed, not make you feel guilty, actually validate you and affirm you, normalize some of the things for you, right? We know that that is so powerful. And so if you don't have that, you need that. There is no balance without community in motherhood. I am so happy and so proud of our community of Balanced Working Mama. And I'm also excited for what the community will look like in the future because it will continue to grow. It will continue to thrive. It's going to look a little different. And so I'm excited for that. And we'll just see how it comes. But our community is dope. Join us. E. E is for effective management of anxiety and guilt. This is important because in motherhood, there are a lot of things, but there's definitely heavy doses of guilt and anxiety for many of us. Guilt comes whenever we feel like we want to do something for ourselves. Guilt comes whenever we feel like we're not doing a good job. Guilt comes whenever you say no to your children or to your family. Like, guilt is just always creeping around the corner looking at you like, girl, you a bad mom. Or you're not doing it right. You're not doing a good job. And that is not true. I want to tell you today, right now, that guilt, the whole purpose of guilt is to lie to you and make you feel bad, especially in motherhood. Because, you know, what I will say is guilt is legit. Like, sometimes we do things wrong and you need to feel guilty because guilt is supposed to communicate to you that you're doing something wrong. You've done something wrong, right? But guilt in motherhood, 95% of the time is a lie. So let's say, okay, if you robbed a bank, right? Yeah, hopefully you feel guilty about that because that's probably not the right thing to do. It's not okay to rob, to steal, to hurt people. But if you say, hey, I just want to not read chicka chicka boom boom and I rather would go drink a glass of wine, there's nothing wrong with that. You didn't do anything wrong, but guilt will flood your system and let you know, hey, I've done something wrong because I don't want to read chicka chicka boom boom today. And that's ridiculous. And so, again, what I want to communicate is that guilt within the experience of motherhood is often a lie. Don't believe it. And within Balanced Working Mama, we do teach you how to manage guilt. Next is anxiety. Anxiety often comes and tells us that, hey, you should worry about this. Hey, you're not doing a good job. Hey, you need to do that better. Hey, other mamas are doing a much better job than you. Like, anxiety will just continue to flood your brain with all these things to make you worry, but also to make you feel less confident, to make you feel subconscious, to make you feel really insecure about yourself as a mom. And again, we don't need that in this experience. And so I need you all to really find ways to effectively manage guilt and anxiety. We have a few episodes about that in all the episodes that we've done. But yes, we have to manage it. There's no balance without effective management of our guilt and our anxiety. Lastly is D. D is one of my favorites. D is for delegate and collaborate. Because, girl, guess what? You can't do all these things by yourself. Motherhood requires a lot of us, but the thing is, we don't have to do it all alone. We don't have to do it all by ourselves. And so there are so many ways that we can delegate and collaborate with the people around us. There are possibly people within your home that you can start delegating things to or collaborating with to get all the things done. For instance, if you have a partner, hey, look, this is a collaborative effort. Having these kids, having this family is not a mom is in charge type of thing. No, we are a team. If you have family members in the area that can help, delegate and collaborate. If you are able to hire people to help, hey, delegate and collaborate. Hire someone for laundry, hire someone for meals, get some daily harvest or some Hello Fresh, whatever. Delegate and collaborate in as many ways as you can. You don't have to do them all, but pick one. Pick one way that you can start to delegate and collaborate a little bit more and see if it brings you more balance in motherhood. I think that it will. All right, y'all, I am going to go, but I really hope that this helped you all to see that balance in motherhood is easier than you're thinking. And the key is that we have to redefine it. It's not juggling all the things by yourself without dropping any of the balls. it is these other things that we have just talked about. So I hope that this episode was helpful. I hope that it was informative and really got someone to think about balance and motherhood a little bit differently. And if so, please let me know. Hey mama, I'm so glad you're listening to the podcast, but I also want to connect with you on social media. So be sure to follow me and Balanced Working Mama on Instagram. You can find me at Dr. Amber Thornton. That's DrAmberThornton, and Balanced Working Mama at Balanced Working Mama. BALANCEDWORKINGMAMA. Follow along, join in on the fun, but then also send me a DM to say hello. See you there. Hey mama, thank you for listening to the Balanced Working Mama podcast. If you love this podcast, please be sure to rate it and share it with another mama that you know. And don't forget to follow me and Balanced Working Mama on Instagram. I'll talk to you soon.